Hey everyone, Brendan Snyder here. How are you? Thanks so much for joining me. So I just went to my mailbox and look at this thing. It's in there. I wasn't expecting this yet. It's from FNA Records. You guys familiar with them? A killer label that gets out like rare, unreleased stuff, albums that haven't come out, demos, whatever you want to call it, from a lot of cool bands that we grew up with from the 80s. I've got 5 things in here. I'm super excited. I'm going to open these, unbox it with you guys. I'll run through it all. We'll do that in just a bit. But before we start, if you're new to my channel and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do. Also leave a comment, hit like. All those things help support my channel. I'd greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, by turning on notifications, you'll never miss an episode and stay up to date on really cool things like this, where this just arrived in the mail, and we're gonna open it up right here, right now, and get into it. So FNA Records, they're out of Tennessee, as I said. They get out, new stuff as well, but they also get out a lot of artists that ran under the radar, didn't get a lot of attention. They get that stuff in print, or maybe they get out a second album that band recorded, it was shelved. They get out demos, they get out session takes, all that kind of cool stuff. So a lot of cool bands that we grew up with in the 80s get sort of a second chance on FNA Records, and I really like that about them. So I had headed over to their website recently because I had read that the band Jailhouse had put out some demos, and you guys remember them? This was their one and only release that they put out back in the day, Alive in a Mad World. It had 4 live songs, 1 studio song on it, Restless Records. And they would later on in 1998 put out this album, but it was all stuff that had been recorded back in the late 80s, early 90s. So their sort of self-titled album was sort of after the fact. And then another label that's really cool, Demon Doll Records, put this out, Straight at the Light, which collected together a bunch of stuff that wasn't on this release. And it sort of is a best of, but it also added 1 new song on here, Straight at the Light. That's the last track on here. So I've been following this band. I like the band. They've got a bunch of cool different people in the lineup here. In fact, if I can open this up and just read you some of the names. Danny Simon on lead vocals, who's when I say currently, was singing with Autograph, although that whole thing, now the guitar player, I think, has taken back the name and they're not going to be able to call themselves Autograph. I think they have to call themselves like Autograph Beyond. But anyways, Danny Simon, singer from Jailhouse. That's where he is today. You got Michael Raphael on lead guitar, Amir Durkhath also on lead guitar, Matt Thorne on bass, and David Alford on drums. And all those guys came up playing in different bands. Some of them come from like Rough Cut and stuff like that. So very cool band. So when I heard that they had done something else, I headed over there. And then I found a bunch of extra stuff. So let's go ahead and get into this. I'm going to show you that Jailhouse release, but I'm going to show you the other stuff that I found when I went over to the website. And so I'm going to pull all these things out now, get those. There's a bunch more. Oh, God, I love this. Oh, little business card there for you guys. There you go. FNA Records. FNArecords.net. So you can head over there. All right, so let's start with the Jailhouse demos that I was telling you about, 1989 and 1990 demos. And it's probably, I would assume, a lot of what this is. I could be wrong. I don't know if I don't think they went back into the studio and recorded that any differently. So it may just flesh out a bunch of stuff. It's got 14 tracks on here. And it's got a number of things that I don't see on this. So I'm looking forward to really checking this out and figuring out what it is. It's funny, there's never enough of this information. Even when you go to the website like FNA Records, who's doing this, and you read about it and what it is and how it's coming out, they kind of give you the band overview and they never really dive deep into what the content is. At least that's my take on things. And so, yeah, don't really know a whole lot about it, but I know it's demos from 89 to 90, and I'm looking forward to diving into it. And 14 of them at that. So, and like I said, a bunch of songs that aren't listed on here or here. So I'm looking forward to checking that stuff out. But that was the reason that I went So then I'm looking around on the site and I saw this and I recognized that, the Lost Boys symbol. You guys remember this band here? It came out, I think it was 1990. Let me just see if I can find, yeah, 1990. Atlantic Records. Randy O from Odin is the singer on this. Jeff Duncan is in here as well on guitar, who would go on to play with Armored Saint. And so this is it says remastered, but somewhere it says what it is. But I believe, again, this is a series of demos, from demos to Atlantic. So maybe these are the demos that led the band to getting signed at Atlantic. At least that's what I'm thinking. 18 tracks on here. 3 of them are bonus tracks. Don't know why that is, but 15 of these on album. And the album that they put out only had 11 tracks. So if there's 18 on here, there's at least 7 songs that aren't on this. So I'm very excited about that. And again, same sort of thing. I don't exactly know how it's all going to break down in the end of the day. But right off the bat, I see that the opening track is called Lost Boys. And there's not one on here that is called Lost Boys. So I always like that. If I can get something new, and even if the first few, some of the stuff repeats, if the first few tracks are something different, then that'll be great. But yeah, so found that. That was exciting in and of itself. Put that with the Jailhouse. I'm going through there, and this one immediately jumps out at me. King of the Hill 2. And if you're not familiar with them, or maybe you will remember them when I show you this. So this album here, which I think is just self-titled, SBK Records it came out on. I Do You, I think, was the hit off of here. Party in My Pocket, Freak Show, a bunch of other cool stuff like that. But they had a song that was on MTV a lot. Years later, I found this, simply just called Unreleased, and it has a whole bunch of tracks that are on here. It's actually got more than is on this. But this is described as what was intended to be their second album, and it is remastered, as you can see. So I believe all but like 1 or 2 of the songs on here are on here. They may be exactly the same. I'm okay with that. But if this is what the original second album was intended to be, then I want to hear it in this method, this way, done like this. Whereas this was just a collection of demos and leftover things. It's got acoustic on here. It's got some remixes on here. So this was just kind of everything left. They dug through the vault. I think they pulled out everything they could possibly do and did that. But now we're finally getting a true second album from what was recorded. So that just got me really excited as well. And if that wasn't enough, though, I found King of the Hill Sessions. So I didn't even know about this. And there's more stuff on here. This has 16 tracks on it. So basically between what's on this, right, all of this combined together, we've got, I don't know, at least 10 tracks on here. They're not numbered. And another 16 on here, so 26. And there's not that many on the other. So there's a whole bunch of extra stuff on this, the Sessions, that isn't on the other. And again, I'm looking forward to deciphering what's what. Maybe the stuff that's on here really is different takes or whatever than this. Maybe not, but like I said, I'm okay with it. But I'm going to listen to what was intended to be their second album. And I always thought the tracks that were on this, the Unreleased, were better than the debut album. So that's one of the reasons I was really excited to check it out in this format. But I still get to throw this on, and this has also those acoustic versions, a couple different ones on here. And it's got some live tracks on it, different studio take 2, take 3, stuff like that. Yeah, so all in all, pretty cool. 2 things from King of the Hill. And then this one, didn't know anything about this one, saw this and just, wanted to read a little bit about it. But group called Stiff. Straight Up is the name of this, and there's members in here, including Ron Taylor, the vocalist for Lillian Axe. So it was described as Pre-Lillian Axe, and you've got the original stuff in here that I don't know if Ron Taylor sings everything that's on this, because they did have a vocalist before Ron Taylor and they recorded some stuff, and so maybe that's the start of this. There's 6 songs on here that aren't called demo. And that may have been the straight up EP, and that's where the name comes from. Then after that, tracks 7 through 17 are all demos. And I think that might be the stuff that's the Ron Taylor part. But either way, very cool. What really sold me on this and got me excited about it is that disc 2 is an 8-song EP that is recorded in 2020. Well, I think it says 2025, but I could have swore that this was a year or two ago. No, it says 2025 on the back. 86 2025. So it's got brand new stuff. The band Stiff got back together, not with Ron Taylor. They brought in their original vocalist and they recorded 8 new songs, and it's a separate disc in here. So you get all the original stuff, plus you get the new stuff. And for me, that was really cool that it was bookending. I love brand new stuff from my favorite bands. I know none of them will ever recreate what they did originally, but I still like to hear that. I still like to hear what they have become, what they have grown into. And if they haven't done anything in the interim like this group here, what has all that time passed done? So pick that up. So Stiff, like I said, I show you the 2 King of the Hill, a Lost Boys, and a Jailhouse. Oh, so I'm in heaven right now, man. All this stuff from the 80s and early 90s. That's my favorite era of music, and I've got a good chunk of that now to go through here. And I was on there also, and I was gonna pick up one more thing that was from the group South Gang. Jesse, the front man, has some demos that are either, I think they're both during South Gang, and then post South Gang stuff, and they collected it all up. Jesse Hart, I think was his last name, and they were putting that out, but it said out of stock or sold out or something, and I couldn't get it. Otherwise, I would have had a cool, nice 6 half dozen things here. But with that bonus disc in the Stiff, that's actually a 6th disc there, so it is 6 CDs, and I'm really excited about this. I've just ripped into it. I've shared it with you guys. I hope you've enjoyed seeing this, and definitely head on over to FNA Records if you want any of this stuff. Just see what they've got. Demon Doll Records is another great one. They're the ones that put this out. If you're not familiar with Demon Doll Records, they pretty much do the same thing that FNA does, but also just very, very cool stuff. So I'm gonna head off and go enjoy my new music. I hope you guys have yourself some new music. Let me know in the comments something that just came in the mail recently for you that really excited you, and we'll share in that together. All right, everyone, take care, have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.